Millionaire sees his poor maid sleeping in his bedroom. What he did next shocked everyone. The mansion had always been silent during the afternoons, save for the ticking of the grand hallway clock and the gentle hum of the ceiling fans overhead. But today that silence was cracked open by a gasp so loud it echoed off the walls like thunder. Henry Lawson, a silver-haired millionaire in a tailored navy suit, stood at the threshold of his master bedroom, jaw unhinged, eyes locked in disbelief. There, on his ivory silk-covered bed, lay someone who shouldn't be there, the maid. A young black woman in a crisp black and white uniform lay curled up on her side, fast asleep with her cheek nestled into the plush pillow. Her mop still clutched in one hand, her shoes off and one leg half tucked beneath her. Her dark skin glistened with dried sweat, and her breathing was uneven, almost trembling. Henry's throat tightened. "What in the world?" he murmured, stepping further into the room, disbelief frozen on his face. This was no minor mistake. No one entered his private suite uninvited, let alone collapsed right onto his bed like it was theirs. And yet, something about the girl's face stopped him from exploding. She looked young, drained, fragile. There was a kind of desperation written across her entire body, as if she hadn't just fallen asleep, but crashed into unconsciousness. He glanced to the corner of the room. A red mop bucket sat half-filled with murky water and gray lint. The mop itself was still damp. On the floor were piles of folded sheets, a basket of laundry untouched. She hadn't even finished the room. Henry narrowed his eyes. "Maid," he snapped, but she didn't stir. He took another step. Still nothing. That's when he noticed her hand. There was no wedding band, no ring of any kind, no ID badge, no gloves. She was dressed like the others, but her uniform was slightly faded, her apron frayed at the edges. Was she even one of his official staff? His blood began to boil. Was this a squatter? An intruder posing as help? He reached for his phone, thumb hovering over the security call button, then paused because suddenly she whimpered. "Please, just 5 minutes," she muttered in her sleep, her voice barely audible, broken. Henry froze. Her words didn't sound entitled. They sounded pleading. His eyes scanned her closer, now really seeing her. Her shoes were torn at the heel, her socks mismatched. A burn scar peeked from under her sleeve. And most damning of all, her left hand had deep red bruises across the knuckles. Fresh from scrubbing too hard, too long. This wasn't laziness. This was exhaustion. Henry slowly lowered the phone. Outside the bedroom, his staff had no idea he had returned early from his week-long business trip. No one knew he'd be home today. He turned and quietly stepped out, closing the door halfway. His heart raced, not with rage anymore, but confusion and something unfamiliar. Remorse. Later that day, he called his housekeeper to ask about the girl. The one with the mop. "She's young, dark-skinned, no name tag. I want her name." The housekeeper was silent for a moment. Then, "You mean Belle, sir? Is that her name?" Henry muttered. "She's new." The woman hesitated. "She's been covering extra shifts because 2 other girls quit. She's been working 14-hour days since Monday. I told her to rest, but she begged not to lose the job. Said she had a sister in surgery this week and her rent's overdue." Henry felt a rock drop in his stomach. He remembered how her fingers were still clutched around the mop, even in sleep, as if letting go meant losing something vital. He remembered her face so young, maybe in her early 20s, and yet it looked aged by fatigue and fear. And she'd chosen his bed of all places, not a bench, not the staff lounge, his room, because it was the closest soft surface, and she must have reached her limit right there. And she had no idea he'd be coming back early. That night, Henry didn't sleep. He kept replaying that image in his mind. Not just a maid sleeping where she shouldn't, but a human being pushed so far beyond her limits that even fear couldn't keep her awake. And for the first time in years, Henry Lawson, a man whose fortune stretched across continents, felt truly small. Belle stirred with a soft groan, her eyelids fluttering open. The golden morning light filtered through the curtains, casting warm rays across the room. Her head ached. Her body felt like it had been thrown down a staircase. It took her a moment to realize she was lying on something soft. Too soft. Pillow, mattress. Her heart leapt into her throat. She shot up, gasping, and then froze. Mr. Lawson standing silently at the edge of the bed in a dark suit, arms folded, watching, her breath caught. She scrambled upright, stumbling off the mattress like it had turned to fire. "Sir, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I didn't realize I was cleaning." And her voice cracked. Tears instantly brimmed in her eyes. She looked down at the floor, humiliated, trembling, as she clutched the mop with both hands like a shield. "I'll leave. I understand. You can fire me. I deserve it. Just please don't take the rest of this week's pay. My sister's still in the hospital, and I just closed my eyes for a second." "Stop," Henry said quietly. His voice wasn't angry, not even firm. It was something else. She looked up, startled. Henry had never looked at a maid like this before. Not with superiority, not with irritation, but with something that nearly resembled shame. "I didn't wake you on purpose," he said slowly. "I got back early. Didn't expect to find anyone here. Least of all you." "I know," she choked out. "I wasn't trying to." "I know you weren't," he said. A pause. She stood frozen, tears streaming down her cheeks. Henry finally sighed, stepped over to the bed, and gently touched the mop, still clutched in her fingers. "You fell asleep holding this," he said. "You scrubbed so long you passed out." She nodded, biting her lower lip hard. "I've been told you've been working 14-hour shifts. Is that true?" Yes," she said, eyes lowered again. "We lost 2 cleaners. I volunteered for double. I needed the money. My rent is 2 months behind. My sister's surgery." Her voice cracked again. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have." "You shouldn't have what?" Henry asked. "Come into your room," she whispered. "No," he said. "You shouldn't have had to work until you collapsed." That made her look up. She stared at him, unsure if she'd heard right. "I've run this house for years," he continued. "I've had dozens of employees, staff, managers, housekeepers, but I've never walked into my room and found someone collapsed from pure exhaustion." "That says something." Her breathing grew shaky. He walked over to the nightstand, pulled open a drawer, and retrieved a small leather envelope. He turned, walked back, and gently placed it in her palm. She looked down. A check. $5,000. She looked back up at him, stunned. "I don't want you to clean for the rest of the week," he said. "No, don't speak. Go home, pay your rent, sit by your sister's side in the hospital, and come back only when you feel ready." Her lips quivered. "Why are you doing this?" Henry's voice was quieter now. "Because I saw someone today who reminded me that I've been blind in my own house." She blinked. "I saw someone brave enough to keep working when she should have given up," he continued. "And when I saw you on that bed, it wasn't disrespect I felt. It was guilt." Her knees gave out and she dropped onto the floor, sobbing. Thank you, sir. I thought this job was going to be the end of me." Henry knelt down beside her. This job might be the beginning." Over the next week, the mansion buzzed with news. Not gossip, but awe. Mr. Lawson had personally driven Belle to the hospital, waited in the lobby with her until her sister came out of surgery, and paid the full bill. He had asked the agency to revise shift protocols, and assigned 2 extra maids to every heavy zone. When Belle returned 2 weeks later, stronger and smiling, a small surprise awaited her in the staff wing. A private room with a real bed, and on the nightstand, a card in Henry's handwriting. "You're not just help, you're human, and that matters here." Belle wept again that night, but this time not from pain, from dignity.